Hello, and welcome to the Actual Tech Media MegaCast. My name is Jess, and I am excited to be here with you all today. But before we jump into our content, I have some basic information to cover with you. Let's kick off our day here today by taking a quick tour of your audience console. And we're going to start with the questions window. Now, if you haven't already said hi, there is a whole audience of cool humans out there, so reach out and give a wave to the other members of the Actual Tech Media community. Also, keep in mind that if you have any tech issues today, a browser refresh is going to fix just about anything. But if those tech gremlins are clinging on, no problem. Just throw a comment in the question section and our crew will be there to help. We also want this to be an informative webinar for you. So throughout today's MegaCast, we hope you'll get engaged and ask all of your burning questions. Not only will we have team members responding to you over live chat, we will also have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of our presentations. And if we do not get to your question during the webinar, don't worry, because the awesome experts that we have here with us today will be following up with you after we wrap. All right, next up on our tour, there are going to be lots of cool aha moments in the MegaCast today, and if you want to share those with your community, we've made it nice and easy for you. You can use the Twitter button right there in your audience console, and the hashtag for today's MegaCast will automatically get added to your post. And our last stop on this guided tour, be sure to check out the Handouts tab for some resources and takeaways from our speakers here today. We have an info pack collection of solution briefs, white papers, data sheets, free trials, ebooks, upcoming webinars, and more. So many great resources, so be sure to go explore. And if that wasn't enough fun, we also have some exciting prizes we will be giving away throughout the MegaCast today. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about those later on, but a few quick reminders for you all. You do need to be in attendance here live at the webinar in order to qualify to win a prize, and we will follow up with all winners after we wrap the MegaCast today. Now, all winners must submit an IRS Form W-9 to Actual Tech Media, and all winners must meet the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions. Now, hey, if you're not sure what those are, no problem. You can find the full T's and C's in that Handouts tab. Again, just click into the Handouts section, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll find the full T's and C's waiting for you there. Now, the absolute most important thing to remember here today is that we love getting all your insightful questions during these live webinars. In fact, we love it so much that we have a special additional prize for all you inquisitive folks out there. In today's MegaCast, we will be giving away a prize for the best question asked in each of our sessions. Now, the expert speakers and teams will review all the questions asked after the webinar, which means that even if your question does not get read out in a live session, there is still a chance to win. If you are a lucky winner here today and would like to donate the value of your prize, we have several wonderful organizations that we partner with. So let us know when we follow up about winning, and we will get that rolling for you. Again, we are so happy to have you all here with us live at the MegaCast today, and we want to keep that good feeling going. So let's connect on social. Reach out and connect with Actual Tech Media on Twitter and LinkedIn. We have lots of great content, and we always want to hear from you. Now, if you're looking for more awesome content right away after we wrap, you want to jump right in, make sure that you subscribe to the Actual Tech Media channel on YouTube. Another fun way to win a prize and to grow this awesome community is to refer an industry friend or coworker to the Actual Tech Media webinar series. Now, you're going to find a link to do that right there in that Handouts tab, and you will also be automatically redirected after we wrap today. Now, both you and your coworker, your friend, could win a prize, and we actually hold those drawings every month. So be sure you refer somebody awesome before you head out today. It could quite literally be a win-win situation. Next, we have a cool opportunity for the decision makers out there to get connected with new and emerging tech and innovative vendors. Here's how it works. All you need to do is click on the link in your Handouts tab and fill out the application. Then the Actual Tech crew will match you with some vendors that we think you should be chatting with based on your needs. There will also be fun opportunities that you can choose to join in, like surveys or test running new solutions, extended demos, and so on. You'll get some chances to win extra prizes, you'll chat with great people, and you will learn about the hottest new trends in tech. So be sure to apply, or hey, send that link to a decision maker in your team. Now, I want to take a quick minute here to remind you about one of my favorite resources, and that is ransomware.org. You can find everything you need to know about ransomware, how to prepare, how to prevent and recover. The site is jam-packed with information, helpful tips, checklists, strategic approaches, case studies, everything you need in one place. So wherever you are in your ransomware preparedness journey, there is something for you at ransomware.org. So go check it out and start exploring. All right, I have one more exciting resource I have to tell you about today, and that is the Gorilla Guide Book Club. It's going to give you access to free enterprise IT books authored by top industry experts, so you can stay up to date on trending enterprise technology. And yes, these books are going to work on your Kindle, your mobile device, and they are completely free, super easy. You can download these awesome resources at gorilla.guide, and there's a link for you in the handouts tab as well. Okay, well, we've covered a lot of important things already, and I don't know about you all, but I am excited to dive in. So let's get rolling.
I am with you. Just let's get rolling. Hey, everyone. Happy Halloween and welcome to the Actual Tech Media MegaCast. Today's topic is next generation endpoint management and protection solutions and strategies. I want to start by saying a big thank you for joining us on the MegaCast today. We feature two incredibly innovative companies in Automox and Kaseya. I cannot wait to hear what they have to say. First, I should introduce myself. I am Keith Ward, a moderator here with Actual Tech Media. I am thrilled to be your host for today's event. It's going to be so much fun. Our other moderators are Jess, who you have just heard from, Scott Becker, and Mackenzie Pudici. Now, you may get candy tonight, but you know what you're going to get today? Well, you could win an amazing prize today. That's because we're giving away $300 Amazon gift cards every 30 minutes and 3 Surface Pro 11s. I mean, how about that? I love Surface Pros. They are some of the best laptops out there, and you could end this event today with one. So, excuse me, everyone. I'm looking at the comments here in the Q&A, and so many folks are saying Happy Halloween and seem to be excited for the holiday tonight. So I have come up with some poll questions that we can have some fun with here. So what do you say we get to those before we start our keynote? First poll question. Are you trick-or-treating tonight? We'll start off with some easy ones. Trick-or-treating tonight? Yes, no, not sure yet. How could you not be sure yet? I don't know. But I wanted to give an option for those of you who might be on the fence, not sure if you're going to do Halloween, not sure if you really like Halloween or whatever. Are you one of those people who like sits there with the lights out in your house, right? Hoping that kids don't come and knock on your door and all that. You close your curtains and everything. You could be one of those people. I hope you're not, but you might be anyway. So I wanted to have an option on that. So it looks like right now, more of you are not going to be out there tonight than are going to be out there. That's interesting. I did not expect that. So really interesting stuff. Anyway, about a half of you are not, about 40% of you are, and about 10% of you, still not sure yet. Remember, you can also add additional comments in the Q&A box if you want. Next Halloween poll. Do you give away good candy or lame-o healthy stuff? You know, so the answers are yes, you give away sugary delights. You go for health, which is why no one comes to your house, or you give away a mix, healthy stuff for the weird kids, you know, apples and carrots and stuff like that, that absolutely no one wants, but you kind of feel like it's your duty, right, to help them not rot their teeth and all that. But I mean, come on. Let's see what we've got. All right, 72%. These are my kind of people. Sugary delights, the stuff that are going to make all the kids hopped up and totally wired all night. So 12% of you go for health, which is why no one comes to your house. Do you really blame anyone? Like, they probably know, like, the kids talk to each other about your house and they're like, they go to the other side of the street. And let's see, 17% of you have a mix, healthy stuff for the weird kids. But I mean, you really don't want those kids at your house anyway, do you? That's what I would say. I mean, it's okay to have it, you know, pretzel sticks, whatever. But those kids, you know, I mean, there's just something wrong with them anyway. Okay, let's see what we have got up next here. Wasn't Halloween better when there was no curfew? Now I'm old, unlike so many of you out there. And when I was young, you could stay out till 11 o'clock if you felt like it. Nowadays, it's like you're done before it's dark. I mean, I cannot believe this. The first time this happened to me, I thought I had entered an alternate dimension where no one wanted to have fun anymore. Everyone was so worried, I guess, about what would happen to the kids that they started instituting these curfews, and it was the worst idea like of all time, since AstroTurf. So anyway, I am so glad to see that 83% of you thus far agree that Halloween was better when there was no curfew. I mean, come on, folks. And 21 or 19% of you now think it's better with the curfew. I guess that's your prerogative, even though you're wrong. Sorry, no offense, but you are wrong about that. All right, let's move to the next one here. Do you check your kids' candy before they eat it? Of course, too many crazies out there is first answer. No, I like to live life on the edge is the other answer. Now, don't blame the messenger. I'm just asking the question, okay? And it used to be, again, you brought the big bag home with all the candy. You just started gobbling it all down. No one checked it. You didn't take it to the fire department or to the hospital, to x-ray to see if there were razor blades and things like that. I truly believe most of that was a myth. And I like what Julie is saying. I eat my kids' candy before they can. That is the right answer, Julie. Thank you. But thus far, most of you examine your kids' candy before they eat it. I mean, I can get behind that. I like the brave ones, which are about 30% of you. Russell checks for the good candy bars and eats them himself. I am down with that. So yeah, you also have to do quality control. Those Butterfingers look suspicious. Thank you, Kathy. That is an all-star comment. Okay, so we're still seeing about 71% you do check, 29% nah. I mean, your kids are going to be fine. And that's really the right answer. Okay, let's be honest here. Okay, let's see. We got a couple more here. These are my favorite ones. These are my favorite ones coming up. All right. Have you ever toilet papered a neighbor's house on Halloween? And you see the parentheses there? Be honest. Okay. Nobody, don't be a goody two shoes. And you never did that. If you did it, let us know. Okay. This is something I have to say I never did. All right. I never toilet papered a house, not because I had some moral compulsion about toilet papering a neighbor's house. No, it's because I was one of those kids who knew he would get caught. If I even thought about TPing someone's house or throwing it up in the trees or whatever, there would be a cop standing behind me when I turned around, and I'd end up calling my parents from juvie hall or something like that. So let's see. 71% of you didn't do that. 29% of you did do that. So, Kathy, she has really got some interesting answers. She says, Halloween, you mean you're supposed to do it just on Halloween? Well, that was my thinking, Kathy, maybe not. And let's see, Vinay wants to know if there's an age limit on when to stop doing that. I think the age limit, Vinay, probably is when you can't really run away fast enough. So if you're old enough to where you can't run fast anymore, maybe you're using a walker, they're going to catch you. So that might be the age limit. Okay. Greg says toilet paper is expensive now, so he doesn't do it anymore. I mean, that's reasonable. That's reasonable. Okay. Let's see. Never TP'd on Halloween, but other days. Lee Myers, I'm not sure what to think of that, Lee. All right. So does egging count, Rod Vanelli? That is a fantastic question. Rod wants to know if egging counts. It absolutely counts. So you can throw egging in there along with TPing. Okay, that might change some of the results here. Right now, I'm seeing 27% have toilet papered. If you want to add egging into that, 73% have not. So, all right, there we go. This is so much fun. All right, and I think we are going to the, Greg wants to know how many people helped clean up. Well, typically, if you were a smart kid, you would pick the single person or the old person who would really have a hard time doing that, so the toilet paper could stay up for a long time. At least that's what I heard, of course, from the rumors around the neighborhood. Okay, so there we go. James Conklin says, "Yup, that is him." There we go. All right, so final question here: have you ever had your house TP'd on Halloween? And the two answers are yes, and those kids paid, and no, kids are justifiably afraid of what will happen to them if they try it. So that is for like my neighborhood, like I sit there on my porch in a rocking chair with a shotgun laid across my lap. No, I don't do any of that. I'm just kidding, everyone. But I would be interested to see if it has happened to you or has not. So far, only 11% of you have. I wonder if that means you're kind of like an easy mark, like what the con men say. They know who you are. They know you're the kind of person that, that would be fun to TP. I don't know. So kids are justifiably afraid of what will happen to them if they try it. I mean, that's really the place to be, isn't it? To make sure the rumor, goes around that you're kind of like Walter White from Breaking Bad. And this is the house you don't want to mess with, right? Okay. So there we go, folks. Our Halloween poll extravaganza is now kaput. Thank you so much for interacting and answering the questions and for giving me some great comments in the Q&A. I love this. So much fun to be here with you and to be doing this. And I'm hearing from my producer on the back end who's saying, "Don't mess with Keith's house." Jordan knows. So with that, why don't we move on now, everyone? It is time to get to our keynote for today's presentation. This keynote today comes from the great Lindsay Kay. I know Lindsay pretty well, and she is fabulous. She's the Vice President of Threat Intelligence, Human Security. What I love about Lindsay is she does this stuff every day. This is her job. So she is so experienced, knowledgeable in this. Cannot wait to hear what she has to say. Lindsay and Jess, in fact, are going to have a great conversation about our topic today. So let's get moving. Ladies, the mic is all yours.
All right. Well, Lindsay, thank you so much for being here. It's great to see you again.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We got a lot of cool stuff to cover today. I want to start out with a bit of like a foundation. I think that's a great place to start. Let's talk about EDR, XDR, MDR. What are the differences between each one of these wonderful things? And what should I consider as I'm maybe potentially buying a solution?
Sure thing. So let's start with EDR. So EDR stands for, as you probably know, Endpoint Detection and Response. And very simply what this means is that this tool is able to capture endpoint activity. So think about user machines and what's happening on them, and then provide visibility into what activity is occurring on these machines. So while many EDR solutions exist, broadly, the capabilities of an EDR solution involve monitoring and reporting of endpoint events, alerting on suspicious activity when identified, levels of data search and analysis, and remediation where relevant. The data collected and any alerts are actioned by the information security team at the organization, who can decide how to remediate a possible cyber attack or incident. So this is an important distinction. Now, as we get to MDR, or Managed Detection and Response, it's very conceptually similar. However, it's endpoint security as a service versus the in-house approach provided by EDR tools. The capability of an MDR solution are very similar. So again, there's monitoring of the endpoints, threat hunting on the data, and response to possible threats, but this is conducted as a managed service by the provider of the service. So primary benefit of MDR is that it doesn't require an increase in staffing to support the use of EDR capabilities or an increase necessarily in infrastructure on the back of your organization. So then finally, we have XDR. XDR is Extended Detection and Response, which is not just about endpoint data, but it's really looking across the organization's security stack and collecting and correlating data from across the organization's infrastructure. This provides additional telemetry and visibility, which, as you can imagine, provides more data on which to threat hunt, more insight into what's going on in the organization as a whole, and can provide a more comprehensive view of a possible attack or incident. So now to get to your question. So which of these is right for your organization? So that's a way bigger topic than we can fully answer today during this keynote, but at a very high level, the decision will depend on a variety of factors. So this might include things like resources, the size of your organization, any current or future staffing in cybersecurity or IT, any regulatory needs that your organization has to meet, or any existing infrastructure and ability to expand that in the future. In any case, we have several vendors here today, so this is a great opportunity to explore many different solutions and how they could work for you.
See, I love that. And that's exactly what we're here today to explore is all of these different opportunities. And potentially it sounds like from what I'm hearing from you, that there could be a benefit to sort of stacking EDR, MDR, XDR with threat intelligence. And I'd love for, you've given us some great sort of checklists for somebody that's shopping around. Can you talk to us a little bit about why threat intelligence is going to be the force multiplier for all of these solutions?
Sure, absolutely. So in short, threat intelligence ensures that the incident data, alerts, or IOCs that you're seeing from your endpoint security solution are contextualized, and that whoever's reviewing the information can make a more informed decision about it than if they were just seeing these pieces of information in a vacuum. So let's talk about why that's the case. So imagine a scenario in which you receive some kind of alert about an IP that one of the systems within the network is contacting, and it's your job to figure out what to do about it. But all you know is that something happened with this specific IP, that the alert seems to be firing for some reason, and you have to make a decision on what to do quickly before a possible cyber attack escalates. So what do? If you would like more information, you're not alone. So here's where threat intelligence really can come in handy in providing that additional context. So what kind of threat the IP is associated with, any threat actor group involved, and what kind of TTPs might be associated with it, and that will really help you make an informed decision about what the best course of action to take would be. So I'm sure we all know that the remediation steps for a potential ransomware attack are far different than the identification of state-sponsored malware on the organization's systems, or even a user who accidentally clicked on a phishing link. So as a result, having as much of this contextual information available as possible is super key to making the best decision for how to remediate.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think we hear that over and over again, that collecting information really being the starting point, right? The more you know, the faster action you can take, the better action you can take, the more effective action you can take. So it all really starts with that visibility and information gathering, which I'm wondering if that connects into my next question for you, Lindsay, because we can't have a conversation anymore if we don't say the words AI at some point, right? Like it hasn't happened if we haven't talked about AI and ML. So I'm wondering if maybe that's one of the connections here. Can you talk to us a little bit about the opportunities that we might be seeing in AI, specifically when we're talking about EDR, MDR, or XDR?
Absolutely. So like you said, AI is still an important topic of conversation in 2024, especially in the realm of cybersecurity, as we've previously discussed many different benefits to defensive tools that AI can provide. So for simplicity, I'm going to refer to the collection of these tools as EDR, but you can definitely consider the benefits of AI to all of these platforms. So as we discussed before, EDR platforms collect a lot of data about an organization's endpoint systems and network as a whole, and they are aggregating it across many systems. Part of what they're also doing includes analyzing the data to determine whether or not an alert should be fired, and if so, what kind. So AI algorithms really benefit from this mass collection of relevant data, as more data really provides more insight into what normal or baseline behavior might be. So then if you have some sort of anomaly or deviation from this baseline and you see that, now the algorithm has so much good data to work from, and this anomaly clearly stands out. So while not every solution must have an AI or machine learning-driven detection strategy, many opportunities exist within this space, and we can expect to see further use of these techniques in the future, both in EDR as well as other defensive security tools. But it is very important to remember that AI and EDR using AI or machine learning are a huge advantage for our security posture, but they're not magic. And the need for awareness around security as a whole really does remain relevant. So in addition to EDR, ensuring that you're considering the benefits of phishing training for employees, the use of MFA where possible, implementing access control based on required permissions for users and services, and more general cybersecurity hygiene. Just something to keep in mind, and something I also like to point out as we have these conversations.
I really appreciate that, Lindsay, because I do think that all of us would love there to be a magic wand, in security. Yes, right. Like, wouldn't that be nice? And AI ML, I think, has felt that way, and for a lot of us, that it seems like this magic answer, and that it can do anything. And I think it's a really great reminder that we still need to pay attention to some of those basic and foundational things. We still need to pay attention to the training. That security hygiene, I think, is so important. So I really appreciate you reminding us of that. As exciting as some of these opportunities are, they are not the answer. They are part of your security approach. And as much as I hate to say we're coming to the end of time, that might be sort of a great place to end. I'd love to hear from you, Lindsay. What are your final thoughts, key takeaways for our wonderful audience members as we head out into our day together?
Sure. So EDR as a concept that has been around for a while, and I'm sure we're all familiar with it, and it's a relatively well understood piece of the organizational security puzzle. So, however, we can see that how EDR has evolved from the early days to the solutions we are seeing now, it's so much different, and these solutions will continue to evolve. So today we'll offer a chance to see how companies have transformed EDR solutions since those early days, and what the latest technologies and innovations are in the area. So during the conversations, as you look at the many available options, keep in mind some of what we've discussed in here today, in deciding which solutions might be a good fit for your organization and its needs. So finally, take this chance to hear today from some of our vendors and hear about the latest EDR and related tools, and ask questions about what could work for you.
I love that. Asking questions. Great place to start. Lindsay, thank you so much for coming to give us some wonderful answers, and also kind of getting our brains in gear and ready to learn some cool stuff. I really appreciate you being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay and Jess, for that eye-opening discussion and for setting the table so beautifully for today's event. And I tell you that Lindsay just knows her stuff inside out. So now we have another poll question. Hopefully you're not poll questioned out from our Halloween poll questions. And this one is one you've probably seen before if you've been on our events. What is your time frame for adding new or updating existing IT solutions at your company? 0 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, 12 to 24 months, or you are not sure. Choose one of those answers. This kind of feedback is just super important to us and to our sponsors. We need to know, or we like to know exactly where you are and what you're thinking about doing, and when you're going to be doing that, those upgrades in your environment. So thank you so much for voting. And we are now going to move into the main event, folks. Let's go here now. Our first presentation in the MegaCast today comes from Automox. And presenting for Automox is Peter Flaster, Product Marketing Manager, and a guy with a really fun name. Peter, it is great to have you here today. Welcome to the MegaCast, sir. I am going to hand the virtual mic to you.
Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about Automox and our approach to endpoint management through autonomous endpoint management, and why we believe that our approach is necessary in today's current technology climate. We were founded back in the mid-2010s because we were observing a rapid pace of technology change, and that was all accelerated by COVID-19 and the move to remote work. Before COVID even, we were observing the fact that technology was changing rapidly, and the IT tooling in place was not keeping pace and was not going to be able to keep pace moving forward. The problems back then are really similar to the problems we see teams dealing with now, and they affect IT and security from the help desk admin all the way up to the CEO, right? We've seen companies adopt the cloud, multiple operating systems, thousands of applications, and remote work to keep the workforce as productive and as efficient as possible so the business can be profitable. But we really haven't seen IT technology create easier work, more automation for IT teams that have the same amount or less people than they did back when everyone was within the office on the same network. We constantly speak with organizations that struggle with multiple on-prem tools trying to manage this new technology. Many of those tools are VPN dependent for devices that are off the network in order to be able to manage them. And many of those tools have a lot of non-value add work for the business, whether it's maintaining on-prem infrastructure, a SQL database that the tool needs to function properly. And then on top of that, all the existing functions within the tool, for example, patching, device configuration, or vulnerability remediation, are mostly ad hoc or manual work instead of a more automated approach. So we had a vision to create a modern technology that actually makes work easier for IT teams, right? This is based on a lot of the same stuff that CrowdStrike revolutionized the SecOps space with back in the early to mid 2000s. We've applied a lot of those learnings to IT administration and IT ops. So we created a cloud native platform that outsourced all of the infrastructure maintenance and actual tool maintenance that doesn't add value to the business to allow IT teams to focus on what's important. And in addition to that, create all of our functionality with an automation first approach that allows IT teams to actually win back hours in their day through automated patching, configuration, and control of endpoints. And those endpoints are Windows, Mac, and Linux. We'll get into that shortly. One of our core promises is to be able to automate any action and at scale, right? Regardless of where those endpoints are located. Big part of that is what we call worklets. This is a catalog of automations that span device configuration to vulnerability remediation to auditing. These can be applied to Windows, Mac, and Linux devices. So most of the operating systems that you likely have in use today. You can create your own. We have an AI assistant that helps you to draft and create your own scripts and automations. Or you can leverage our catalog. We have a team of expert IT administrators here at Automox that create and maintain a catalog of over 360 different use cases that help IT and security teams to win back hours in their day. In addition to the configuration side of the house, patching is a problem that we really have not seen solved for many orgs today. They still have entire FTEs dedicated to patching. And we believe with an automated approach and an increased coverage surface of operating system and third-party patches, those people can be reallocated to more strategic IT and security initiatives that actually enhance productivity of people in the business, as well as reduce your overall cyber risk or meet compliance standards. So we patch Windows, Mac, including Windows Server, as well as 10 plus Linux distributions, the operating systems, and then within that, we patch over 560 different software titles on those operating systems automatically. We discover the patches, we package them and store them in our cloud so you don't have to, and they're distributed down based on your schedule. All of that is layered over with our patch safe promise, and that's a leading malware detection platform with over 50 scan engines that examine every single package. If there's a threat detected, our security team here at Automox reviews and decides how to act on those flags before it's deployed into our cloud and then down into your actual environment based on the schedule. So what outcomes does shifting to this sort of approach get you? Really massive time savings is a big one, as well as better IT and security outcomes. Our platform is extremely fast to deploy. You can deploy the platform in pretty much under 5 minutes. You can deploy it with existing tools like CrowdStrike Sentinel-1 or an MDM platform, or even your previous endpoint management tool. So you can deploy to thousands of endpoints in a day or less very easily. And then once you actually apply the automation, which we'll touch on in a demo in a moment here, it can save you up to 80% of your team's time to keep endpoints up to date. That's based on real customer outcomes there. We also did a study with ESG a couple years ago that compared us to legacy tools, and they noted and found a 91% lower cost of administration and operations, and most of that is achieved through outsourcing that non-value add work that I was talking about, like maintaining the tool and the platform itself, as well as the underlying infrastructure and software that tool uses, outsourcing that to us, right, with a cloud-native SaaS approach. And ultimately, we've seen a lot of traction in the movement, right? We have some great customers that have joined and believe in our vision. We've recently been featured in 3 Gartner hype cycles as a sample vendor for autonomous endpoint management, which we really believe will be the next evolution in endpoint management and unified endpoint management towards more of an automation first approach. And we're getting some great traction there. So I'm really excited to be talking to you all today about Automox. But I think that's enough of the slides for now. I would love to jump into the platform and show you a really quick demo. So this is the Automox platform. I can access it very easily by simply logging in online. If you're interested, you can start a free trial in seconds by just entering your email, and you'll see essentially what I see. You can add devices. We have a nice guided onboarding process there. The first thing that you see when you get into Automox is just a quick snapshot of your environment, right? I can see devices that are compliant with the policies that I've specified, what types of patches I have outstanding, what my environment by operating system makeup is, and kind of what's scheduled next to automatically occur in my environment. As I mentioned, we are cross-platform. So we can manage Windows, Mac, and Linux systems, and you get a single pane of glass to see your entire estate from. As you can see here, I have my Windows devices, including servers. I've got my Linux and my Mac OS devices. I can get an easy snapshot of my device inventory, right? I have instant access to remote control on Windows and Mac OS devices. If I need to restart a device immediately, I can do that. A lot of help desks are utilizing Automox to provide at the elbow support via our remote control feature. I can see all my device details at a high level. I can see the policies as well as my actual device software and what inventory of software exists on that device and what patches are upcoming. This is really helpful as well. We also have a global view of that software across my entire estate. So I can actually search for things like Google Chrome and see what type of Chrome I have installed across my environment. I can also search by specific CVEs. So that's a high level of kind of the inventory side and the single pane of glass that we talk about. That stuff's really useful, but where the customers that we work with see the most value from Automox is actually through automation, right? Whether that be patching, configuration, auditing, etc. of endpoints. And I mentioned that 360 plus automation catalog that we call worklets, right? That all exists here. And this is built and maintained by a team of expert former IT administrators that now work for us. So you can see here, I can search if I have a specific use case, or I can just look through and see all the automation use cases that are already built for me for Windows, Mac, and Linux devices. Tons of great use cases here. And this is all deployed over the internet. So there's no need for VPNs. There's no need for devices to be on a corporate network. As long as they have an internet connection, we can reach out and manage them, whether that be automated patching, device configuration or auditing. So let's go ahead and check our BitLocker compliance on a device here. If I want to see how this actually works in the background, I can take a look at our super thorough code and back end of this. But most folks will just create a policy for automated action or actually run that now. So if you have a high priority 0 day, for instance, like log4j, I could go to run now and I could choose the devices that I want to go and fix that on and get real time action and then feedback on that action to see whether it was successful or not. For now, I want to check my BitLocker compliance every day, so I'll go ahead and create a policy. This policy screen is exactly the same whether it's a worklet or a patch policy. So if I want to create a patch policy to patch all 560 titles that we cover on a Windows device, I can do exactly the same thing here. I'll go ahead and choose the devices that I want to target. I'll target my default group and my employee endpoints. Since this is BitLocker compliance, I'll just target my Windows workstations. Again, I can see what's happening on the back end if I'd like to. And then finally, I'll set my schedule. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and audit it every day at 12 a.m. For the device. And if that device is offline, I'll make sure that it'll check it the next time that device reaches out to us via the internet when it loads. The other cool thing here for both patching and worklets is if you want to force reboots after completion of that patch job or that workload, if it's required, you can actually set that and configure your notification to your end users and how many times they're allowed to defer. So you can base all of that on your SLAs or your compliance requirements that your organization is subject to ensure that you're actually getting the outcomes that you need from the tool. Then you go ahead and create the policy and it'll start to run automatically on devices. Super easy, very, very straightforward. Most customers through our free university will actually learn the platform in just a couple of hours. It's extremely intuitive. And then finally, all this action is great, but if you can't prove it to your auditors or your leadership, it really isn't worth much, which is why we've built some comprehensive reporting. The one that I'm going to talk about today is actually the policy results report. This report will actually give you a history of every single policy that's run in your environment, whether that's a patch job or a worklet policy like I just created to go and audit the BitLocker compliance daily. And this goes back 400 days of history, so you should be able to meet your auditing requirements, but also prove value and prove all the work that you're doing to your board or your leadership, which is huge. The other things that I want to talk about is integrations. We have a number of really great integrations. Probably one of the most useful and one of the most used ones that we see, apart from like a ticketing or a CMDB integration, is what we call AVR, Automated Vulnerability Remediation. That is a partnership with Rapid7 that we attach via API to Rapid7 Insight Vulnerability Management, and we can actually automatically kick off a scan on their end, and they will send us all the CVEs that they find. We'll correlate those to the device and the patch available. If it's not patchable, we try to recommend a worklet policy. If it's a configuration-based fix, and that allows you to actually go ahead and deploy all the patches or configuration-based fixes based on what Rapid7 finds. That one's huge. We've seen customers have fantastic outcomes with an extremely quick, like sub 30-day burn down of their risk score in Rapid7. If you have another vulnerability scanner like Tenable.io, CrowdStrike Spotlight, etc., we can actually ingest via a flat file or a common CSV file. We can ingest their scan data and do essentially the same thing. It's just not via API. So that's a quick overview of what we do and how we're approaching this problem that pretty much every IT team faces of too many things to do, not enough time, and increasing complexity, cyber risk in their environments. It's been very brief today, but I do appreciate the time. If you're interested and you want to find out more information, we do have a free trial. It's extremely easy to set up, but you can also go ahead and request a demo, and we'll post the link for that shortly here as well. So we have a little bit more time left. Let's go ahead and open things up to a Q&A.
Okay, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but he could not stick around for us. Sorry about that. Peter was not able to hang on, but we do appreciate that presentation so much. It was just fantastic stuff, Peter. I especially loved the policy results report. That can be just extremely useful. So great stuff there. Now we've got a poll question up for you. We appreciate your feedback on additional resources you'd like to see from Automox. Make sure you vote in that. Now there's a lot of questions. You guys asked a ton of them that we can't get to now. But I have been assured that the Automox team will do their best to respond to all these questions that came in. I also want to remind everyone about the handouts. There's a data sheet from Automox on its Worklit products, so be sure to get that now for more details. Thanks to everyone who's responded to the poll. We appreciate your feedback. I'm going to leave it up here for one more moment, and then we are going to move on to our next presentation. But first, I have to give away some prizes. All right. I'm giving out for this one a $300 Amazon gift card and a Surface Pro 11. So the winner of the first $300 Amazon gift card of the event is Eric Delengowski from New Jersey. And the winner of the grand prize, that Surface Pro 11, is Jill Shafter from Colorado. Congratulations to both of you. We will be in touch about claiming your prizes. And I'm just a little bit jealous because I would love one of those Surface Pro 11s as well. And now, why don't we get to our next and final presentation in the MegaCast today, folks? This one comes from Kaseya. Presenting for Kaseya is Keenan Ball, Senior Product Marketing Director. He's a very energetic, entertaining guy. Cannot wait to hear what he is going to talk to us about today. So, Keenan, I am going to turn this puppy right over to you.
Hey, thanks, Keith. I am so excited to be attending another MegaCast. One thing I'll say up front, Keith, is that normally this talk track is about 55 minutes. I'm going to see if I can do it in 20. So it's going to be a rush this time, but I think we can do it together. I'm also really excited to be chatting about next generation endpoint management and security sort of solutions. I think this is a space where IT professionals from all walks of life are demanding better tools. And I think that's, a perfect opportunity to talk about how Kaseya 365 can unify and automate endpoint management, endpoint security, and backup in one single solution, which sounds too good to be true, but keep listening. You'll see what's going on. My name is Keenan Ball. I'm the Senior Director of Product Marketing here at Kaseya, and I'm joining you live from unsurprisingly rainy Vancouver, Canada. I'm very passionate about automation. I see automation as really one of the few silver bullets for the problems that IT is facing today. And generally, you should be very concerned about anyone who promises you a silver bullet, but automation really is, as long as you do a little bit of that work up front to get it where it needs to be. So, IT professionals from all walks of life are burned out. This is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful car. This is not what I was promised when I got into this space. How did we get here? Well, it all started not too long ago with a very company HQ-centric life. We trundle upstairs, we trundle downstairs. This was really the very definition of endpoint. If you're working in an MSP, you're doing this, but you're doing truck rolls, and you love those truck rolls because you have to listen to the radio, you have to just turn your brain off for a few minutes as you go from client to client. But then things change, right? And they change pretty quickly. As we start transitioning into a bit more of a hybrid world, we also see ransomware exploding. Last year, we were up to 102,000 ransomware attacks per day. It's an eye-watering sum. And simply put, our community is under attack. and under attack at a level we haven't seen before. So, where are we now? Unfortunately, it gets worse. Because the very definition of endpoint has changed. And we've seen this explosion in both endpoint count and endpoint type. Not only do we have the classic definition of endpoints with laptop, desktops, and servers, but we throw in Macs, we throw in public cloud, private cloud, Chromebooks, network devices, mobile devices, virtual desktops, security solutions, industrial IoT. Oh my goodness, my head is spinning. How can we possibly be expected to manage this explosion in both endpoint count and endpoint type? And what's so scary about this explosion in both endpoint count and endpoint type is that it's not just a throughput equation. If we just had the classic laptops, desktops, and servers, but we had the explosion in endpoint count, it's a simple linear scaling throughput equation. Every 100, 200, maybe even 500 endpoints per technician, you need to hire a new technician, right? That, of course, assumes you can hire said technician. But assuming you can, it's a simple problem. But when endpoint count and endpoint type are increasing simultaneously, this is not just a throughput that's increasing, but it's also complexity. And when throughput expectations and complexity increase simultaneously, it is not a linear scaling equation, it is an exponential scaling equation. So I often compare IT nowadays to boiling the frog, which is to say it's kind of a grim Western colloquial metaphor that if you put a frog into a pot of warm water and you slowly crank up the temperature, it won't jump out. It, of course, is not actually true. The frogs do jump out. But IT professionals, we've been put in a pot of warm water quite about a decade ago, and that temperature has been slowly increasing. And now it feels like we're boiling and drowning alive, and we haven't jumped out of the pot yet. And there is a better way. So how do we deal with this explosion in endpoint count and endpoint type? We've already established that you can't just throw headcount at it. So the answer to do more with less is always technology, right? And the market responds. But the market responds with incredibly fragmented tools. The average IT shop, whether you're an MSP or an internal IT professional, has roughly 4 different point solutions just for managing their endpoints. That's not counting securing their endpoints. That's not even counting backing up their endpoints, just for managing their endpoints. So when you throw in the security solutions, when you throw in the backup solutions, a common IT management kit ends up being 7 or 8, 10, 12 tools. And there's some obvious hard costs associated with this. You're spending, 3 to 4 to 8 times as much as you should for managing your endpoints. But it's the hard costs are bad enough. It's actually the soft costs that are so deadly. So Harvard Business School calls this the toggle tax. Bain & Co. calls this the space between. We here at Kaseya usually call it the space between. But both these independent studies came to roughly the same conclusion that IT professionals are wasting somewhere between 15% and 25% of their time alt-tabbing back and forth and context switching between these different disconnected, disparate solutions. So when you think about why you're working 50, 52, 54 hours a week, when you think about why you keep getting called in on the weekend, and when you generally think about why Sunday night you feel that pit in your stomach about not wanting to go into work on Monday, the toggle tax is a major reason because it's just burning so much time, and not even in like a fun way. You're not like digging deep and learning something new, right? There's an education tax associated with this as well. It's incredibly difficult to learn all these different user interfaces for all your different team members. Documentation, oh my goodness, who feels like they're up on their documentation? Who feels like they're up on their documentation about training for your tools? Nobody, right? This is 3 to 4 to 7 to 9 different tools that you're following their release notes too to make sure that that new killer feature you've been looking for is there. There's some major security consequences of this model as well. They say that fear is the mind killer, noise is the productivity killer. And each of these tools is creating so many alerts, hundreds of alerts per day. Most IT shops nowadays just kind of ignore their alerts and hope that everything goes okay. Security, this is of course a larger attack surface, and you run into the tyranny of the default, the assumption that somebody smarter than you set up these tools. All these tools require deep personalization by you. And finally, scale. Just doing the basics correctly, discovering, auditing, inventory, patching, configuration management, just general policies, very difficult to do at scale. And to put a finer point on it, why you're feeling so burned out, why you're feeling like it's so hard to achieve the layered cybersecurity strategy that you're looking to employ, is because you are managing the past, the present, and the future all at the same time. So of course you're burned out. You're working in 3 timelines. Marvel can't even do that, and they have billions of dollars from Disney. So what do? We're feeling burned out. We're feeling like security is really hard. We're feeling like we have too many tools. Finance keeps telling us no, or we can't get our, the new tools we need approved. We've got hardware upgrades that are looming over us. Oh my goodness, it's a hard time to be in this space. Well, whenever you're looking at an incredibly hard problem, how do you solve a big problem? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Same sort of thing. Let's focus on the essentials for managing today's environments. So, from a management perspective, what we consider essential is auditing. You need OS patching and application patching. 57% of successful ransomware attacks are the result of unpatched software. If you take one thing away from this, get patching right. You need to be monitoring to ensuring that your policies are in play, to make sure that there's no spookies lurking in your network. And then I put this umbrella term of support. And it's a big umbrella term. That's all the remote control sessions that you're doing to figure out some nonsense because one of your end users is like, my computer is too slow. That's all the password resets. It's all the printer tickets, just that daily barrage of tickets. You need to protect against today's and tomorrow's threats, right? Antivirus really good at detecting what we know about the past and some of today's threats. EDR really good through behavioral analysis about detecting, frontier threats and tomorrow's threats. Ransomware rollback, I personally consider quite important. The ability to really quickly recover from a halted ransomware attack, because that happens all the time. Like your software is stopping these kind of pretty half-assed attempts, but you still have all that damage you've got to recover from. And I also personally think you need a managed SOC, an MDR. IT professionals, we got into this business because we love tinkering. We love solving hard problems. What we don't love doing? The same gosh darn thing every single day. And combing through security logs day after day firmly falls into that camp. There is a better way, and you can outsource it. You need to back up all your data, and you need to be providing secure networking. Now, what I see as this common pitfall from IT professionals is that we end up and we pick each of these arenas and we try to go out and find the best in breed in each of these individual arenas. So I'll use a bit of a music analogy. So let's say you throw Taylor Swift, Lars Ulrich of Metallica, Miles Davis, and Elton John all on a stage together. All amazing artists, great artists. I know taste is a matter of taste. Regardless, you throw all these artists on stage together without any prep, without any, music to read, without any practice sessions, it's going to sound like an unholy racket. Poor Gollum is going to be covering his ears from all the noise, from all the alerts that all these different disparate solutions are pumping out. They're not working together. When they are working together, their integrations break quarterly and often take a month to fix. But with Kaseya, what we offer is all of these working together, pre-integrated and pre-automated. And not only is it pre-integrated and pre-automated, it actually works out of the box, right? But it works for everything that you need to manage, from desktops to Macs, networking devices, servers, public cloud, VM, IoT devices, and mobile devices as well. And you'll notice I also included end users in here. I personally believe that next generation endpoint management solutions will consider endpoint than anything that IT needs to manage, which of course firmly means online user accounts. But the goal here, and what we've been able to accomplish with Kaseya 365, is to empower you to manage everything from anywhere and treat every device as a first-class citizen. If you suddenly need to manage a whole fleet of Macs because your company acquired another company that's very Apple forward, you already know how to do that because you already know how to manage anything else. So I think I've buried the lead here. Let's talk a little bit about Kaseya 365. Kaseya 365 is a single subscription, a single solution with everything essential, everything you need to manage secure backup and automate pretty much anything when it comes to an endpoint. So what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, it was built for the do-it-all IT professional. The major enterprises of the world, the Fords, the Chase Banks of the world, they have whole teams, sometimes 20, 30, 40-person teams devoted to each of these functions. You probably don't. So not only do you have to do all of this, but you have to do it efficiently and affordably. So you need to have access and control of your devices and network. You need to ensure that devices and data are protected from intrusion or corruption. You need to preserve critical data from loss, theft, or exploitation. And you need to do it all consistently and with the constraints of a small team. And Kaseya 365 was specifically built with this in mind. So from a management perspective, you get a true unified endpoint management solution. For our MSP friends on the line, a true unified RMM. You also get complete automated OS and third-party patching. From a security perspective, you get EDR, antivirus, ransomware detection, and if you choose the Pro version, an MDR or managed SOC included. For backup, you get endpoint backup, and it's all pre-integrated and pre-automated so that it actually works out of the box. We here at Kaseya often talk about how really integration is automation and automation is integration. I firmly believe that. When you think about the problems that you face on a day-to-day basis, they're cross-product, they're cross-vertical. You've got annoying tickets coming in, my printer doesn't work. And then your endpoint management solution needs to be able to take that ticket, figure out what to do, and then reboot that print spooler, and then hit it back to your ticketing solution to let them know that it's been solved. Integration is automation. And with Kaseya 365, you get a true unified endpoint management and security platform. You get automated patching. 57% of successful ransomware attacks were the result of unpatched software. It's vital to get this right. Kaseya 365 gets this right. Automated monitoring as well. Policies out of the box, monitoring routines out of the box to detect the classic signs of ransomware. And what do I mean by that? I mean, of course, like you've got the AV looking for the common threat signatures. You've got EDR looking for behavioral analysis. But even your endpoint management solution can detect a lot of classic signs of ransomware real fast. Best-in-class solutions can do this out of the box. Hardening as well. End users are rascals, and generally they'll do as much damage as you let them do. Kaseya 365 includes automated policies out of the box to close those ports, enforce two-factor authentication, prevent scripts from being executed by end users. And when things do go wrong, when you are under attack from ransomware attack, automated remediation as well. We detect ransomware style behavior. We quarantine the host, isolate the endpoint so the attacker loses persistence. The end user loses control, but don't worry, we'll get them control back real soon. But you don't. Kaseya 365 doesn't. And with that included and integrated backup, you've got from tip to tail covered. Now, I'm sure you must be thinking, okay, Keenan, this sounds pretty cool. I'm liking what you're hearing, a unified platform. It's got endpoint management, it's got patching, it's got a lot of security, it's got backup. But like, come on, like how much is this going to cost me? Kaseya 365 is available for just $2.93 per endpoint per month. Now, this is the Express version, so it doesn't include the MDR. The Pro version, which does include the MDR, is just another $3 per endpoint per month. So $6 per endpoint per month for unified endpoint management, for application patching, for OS patching, for EDR, for AV, for an MDR, and for backup, single platform. So once again, I'm sure you're thinking, I don't know, Keenan, this sounds really cool. I'm really excited about what you're putting down here, but I kind of want to see it in action. I want to see, show me the magic, right? So don't worry, I brought receipts. So I'm going to give you a little, I say deep dive, but with 20 minutes and 5 minutes remaining, I of course can't do a real deep dive. So I'm going to do a mini deep dive. So first, some really cool things we can do. Unified user management. Kaseya 365 has built-in M365 management. Google Workspace is coming later, but right now we've got very powerful M365 management. And the reason why we have this is because so many problems that technicians, engineers, sysadmin, help desk agents, whomever are dealing with on a day-to-day basis require much more than just endpoint access. It requires access to one of Microsoft's many management consoles. So what do you get with this? You get the full auditing capabilities. You have the ability to just search up here for a user, and you're going to get all the endpoints associated with the user. You're going to get all the software licenses associated with the user. You're going to see things like M365 sign-in status, last password reset date, licenses associated with, a lot of the information you need to make decisions quickly. You also get one-click ability to do password resets, to block access, to do temporary access password, to quarantine an account. So in the case of a ransomware attack, you can quarantine the endpoint and the account simultaneously. This also allows us to do really powerful out-of-the-box automations around user onboarding and offboarding. We can, at the same time that we're provisioning the software license, we can deploy the software to the endpoint. At the same time as we're hardening the account, hardening the user profile, we're also hardening the endpoint and de-bloating it, taking everything off that you don't want. Offboarding as well, get that with one click ready for the next user. Next, let's talk about advanced software management. We have a huge catalog, more than 300 applications, unique applications. If you count like the sub variations of software is different, it's more than 600. But we also vet these patches. You can be reasonably confident when you're rolling out a patch that it's not going to break your third-party mice and keyboard. Looking at you, Microsoft, or not going to break your HDMI ports. Looking at you, Lenovo. The other cool thing about this capability as well is that it's risk-based. So you can easily set rules such as if CVSS score is 9.5 and above, that's an extreme risk, create a critical vulnerability. It's like the Connect Twice Screen Connect vulnerability from just about a month and a bit back. This is something that's worth disrupting end users. So you can say if 9.5 and above, roll out by end of day, end users get unlimited snoozes. Or if 8 to 9.5, we're getting into that high risk, but not quite as extreme risk, patch by end of week. Patch within 2 weeks, whatever the compliance standard you follow or cyber insurance policy allows. So it gives you a ton of flexibility to deliver the service that you need to, while also keeping your network safe. All right, this is about next-gen management and security. I've talked a lot about management. I want to talk about security. So what you need great protections against today's threats. It needs to be not noisy. As I said, noise is a productivity killer. And whoever is going to get this ticket, whoever is working the graveyard shift, because attacks always happen at night, they need to be enabled and empowered to take action in common security scenarios. So regardless of what your homepage is, I'm showing you Datto EDR and Datto RMM. If you're a senior security engineer, it's probably Datto EDR. If you're not, it's probably the management console or your ticketing console. But regardless of what your homepage is, you're getting the same information everywhere. So you're seeing the same critical alerts, the same organization structure, the same client structure, whatever. So you have the right information in the right place, regardless of where you live. So I generally live in RMM, in the management platform, and I see, there's a critical alert about a potential ransomware attack. I need to check into this. So of course, my first step is I click into it, and we're still in Datto RMM. And you're able to do some, see the security alert, see the event details, and even drill deeper. So once again, we're still in Datto RMM. I'm a junior woodchuck tech. I'm fresh out of college. I'm freaking out. Oh, goodness gracious. I don't know what to do. Boom. Don't worry. We've taken that step, and we give you the upfront recommendations. Okay, isolate the host if necessary. This is scary. I'm going to isolate the host. So I pop back over here. Boom. With a single button click, isolate the host. Or if you're wrong, revert isolation. And usually you do this with automation, but automation is invisible, just like great IT. So I wanted to show you the button because the button's cooler. Should you need to click deeper, the EDR console is one click away, don't worry. And you're able to dive deeper, do that advanced threat hunting. If this all looks like Greek to you, don't worry, we're going to take care of that for you during implementation. And I mentioned this earlier, but I wanted to show it to you. Not only can you quarantine the endpoint, you can quarantine the account as well. And I also mentioned temporary access password, block sign, and revoke all user sessions. And once again, you're able to see an extraordinary amount of information, so you don't have to go digging through your Rolodex to know what's going on. And I also promised you some instant ransomware rollback. So this is a great capability for in the event of a ransomware attack. You get some little bit of files that are being encrypted. You're able to get all these back instantly without actually having to initiate a full restore. So I've got some closing thoughts, and then we're going to get to questions. The future is unified. It's going to be any endpoint, any device, anything, really. The future is easy. You're going to be able to automate more than you ever thought possible without needing that PhD in PowerShell. And the future is here. But don't take my word for it. I'm just some talking head. See Kaseya 365 in action for yourself. Book a demo. We'd love to go through your personal use cases. And once again, just for $2.93 an endpoint. Whew. So I just want to thank you so much. And now I'm going to hand it back to Keith for some questions. I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on this. But, thank you so much. And, the best, I guess my last closing thought, Keith, I know I got to hand it back to you is, automation is security. And the best time to start automating, like planting a tree, was 20 years ago, but the second best time is today. So I'm just so glad to see that you're on your journey. All right, Keith, let's take some questions. Let's do it.
I agree, Keenan. Let's do it. All right. So first thing I want to do is throw up the poll question for Kaseya. please let us know what additional information you would like about their solution. There's a bunch of choices there. Let them know while we go over these questions. Are you there, Keenan?
Oh, you betcha.
There you are. Okay. First of all, fantastic presentation. I loved it. I do have to say that I'm a little disturbed by your seemingly in-depth knowledge of how frogs act when they're boiled. I'm not sure I'm going to pursue that any further, but you did seem awfully well informed. So
I dated a biology student in university.
there you go. That's your standard answer, I'm sure, to that question. Okay, so with that, let's get into a few questions. We don't have a ton of time, but we do have some time here. So let's see what people are asking. There's been a ton of them, Keenan, which means you've really struck a nerve here. So let's ask. Let's go to some of the questions. Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention while we are prepping the questions, we also have a handout from Kaseya, which is a link to a free trial of the Kaseya solution. Free is good. Yes, I must agree, in fact. So questions now. Larry wants to know, to manage the endpoint, does the endpoint have to have an agent? If the computer is off the network, can we still remote to the endpoint?
So endpoints are wacky, right? That's a lot of what I talked about today. Generally, we do use agent-based management. So like Windows PCs are going to be agent-based management. Mac are going to be hybrid. So it's going to be half, like the monitoring is going to be done with an agent, but the actual management is going to be done with API-based integrations with Apple services themselves. Mobile phones, of course, are API-based. That's a long way of saying that generally it's agent management, but often it's API-based management. In terms of what we call remote control on demand, the ability to remote control into a endpoint that isn't actually managed by you, we do have that capability. It is agentless. You'll send an email, they'll accept temporary management, and then the sort of executable will delete itself at the end of it. So great question, Larry. Very flexible for you, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Ben wants to know, this is kind of a long question, but maybe we can simplify it a little. Ben asks, do we anticipate a change in the types of ransomware attacks now that we're coming out with full AI integrated OSs that, if hacked, would give access to a bad actor to screenshots, keystrokes, and bypass even basic security like VPNs and encryption? So what about AI and how that is affecting ransomware attacks, if I was going to break that down?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. And it's kind of a scary question too, because you're dealing with new ransomware threats, sort of both from the future and at the past at the same time. Bad actors, security threats are a lot like fashion. And what I mean by that is what's old is new and what's new is old again. So not only are we seeing this proliferation of AI-based attacks, and today it's predominantly like improved phishing. You don't see Cyrillic letters in phishing emails anymore, for example. You don't see kindly do the needful in phishing emails really anymore. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing some crazy attacks. The resurfacing, like 2006 to 2008 had some basically DDoS based ransomware attacks. So they just continuously DDoS your system until you paid. And now we're starting to see that crop up again because we've sort of let our guard down on that. The good news about AI is that we get to use AI just as much as they do, right? So just as they get more and more effective at infiltration using AI, the security vendors in the space are getting more and more effective at using AI to hunt that AI-based infiltration. So much like Reddit is just turning the bots arguing with each other, your security stack is going to turn into robots arguing with each other.
Right. It's kind of like an arms race, isn't it? They come out with something, we come out with something else, they come out with something to fight what we come out with, et cetera, into a spiral. And that's what's going on. So we have time for one more question for you today, Keenan, and then we're going to have to let you go. So the question is this, and it's about essentially the learning curve. The attendee says, this all sounds great, but moving IT management tools can be quite arduous. How's the implementation and onboarding process for Kaseya 365? That is a really important practical question.
Yeah, really good question. And I think as a lot of IT professionals, we've been burned on software migrations, particularly from endpoint management solutions or ticketing solutions. So I personally,
no way. Are you serious? No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Yeah, I personally really understand where this question is coming from. The good
Yes.
news about Kaseya 365 is while it is like 6 products formed together into a Megazoid or like a Voltron Mega Robot, it is still managed from that single sort of management experience through the endpoint management solution through the RMM. So a lot of times when you're doing an endpoint management solution migration, the scary parts are integrating your third-party tools. They're reintegrating your AV, reintegrating your EDR, reintegrating your MDR, which I see a lot of questions in the chat about, which the short answer is yes to. But the good news for you is it's actually a really easy migration process because it's just the endpoint management solution. Everything else works out of the box, and we're going to hold your hand all the way through. So, we'll move over your organization structures. We'll move over most of your policies. And when I say most, we usually can move over 90% or more of policies, move over your scripts. We'll ask you some things you hate about your job, and we'll show you how to automate them. So yeah, we got your back. We know it's a scary world out there.
And that's great to hear because it's when you're talking about something this major in terms of how you're changing infrastructure, it can be intimidating to even know, where to start. So thank you so much. Before I let you go, got one final question for you. Are you trick-or-treating tonight?
I am not personally trick-or-treating, but I will be handing out candy. And I'm pretty excited about that.
You are. Okay. And hopefully no one is going to be toilet papering your house tonight.
We've got the full-size bars. We're the favorite house on the block.
All right. Fantastic. Well, all the kids will be showing up. Hey, Keenan, it has been so much fun to be on with you today. Thanks for the presentation, for the insights in the Q&A. I wanted to point out to everyone that the questions that we did not get to, and there were a whole bunch today, that Keenan and the Kaseya team will be following up on those. So have no fear. Keenan, thank you so much for being here. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you. I had a blast.
All right, us too. Okay, folks, that is it for Keenan right now. But while I give away our last few prizes, I did want to remind you again that poll is still up on getting additional information on Kaseya. How do you want to hear from them, as well as the handout, that link to the free trial of Kaseya. Make sure you take advantage of both of those before we wrap today. So, the final prize drawing is going to be another $300 Amazon gift card and 2 more Surface Pro 11s. The winner of the final $300 Amazon gift card is Amy Haupt from New Jersey. And the winners of our grand prizes are Landis Golden from Pennsylvania and Kevin Frevert from Missouri. So, all right, everyone, congratulations to all the winners, who include Eric and Jill, Amy and Landis, and Kevin. You are going to be hearing from us ASAP on about how to get your prizes. So sit tight. All right. This was a great event, folks. I had so much fun with you today. If you thought the same thing, how about if we do one of these for you? We've got lots and lots and lots of opportunities coming up in 2025 to join a MegaCast like this, EcoCast, or a custom-built event just for you. If that interests you, let us know at connect@actualtechmedia.com. We will reach out and work with you on the best solution for you. And finally, today, I want to let you know about a great event next week that might tickle your fancy. It's about setting up your infrastructure for any kind of environment that you have, and it starts next Wednesday, November 6th. Yes, we will be in November tomorrow, in fact. Hard to believe. This one starts at noon Eastern time, which is 9 a.m. for those of you on the West Coast. Sign up for that at the end of the event today, which is coming up here in less than another minute or so. Folks, we are just about wrapped. On behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank Automox and Kaseya for putting together such great presentations, the demos, the Q&A insights, all the fun we had with the poll questions. It was just a great time. And last but not least, I want to thank all of you for helping make this such a great time today, for your interest in the topic, and for spending part of your day with us. You're the reason we do this, and it's been a real joy for me. That concludes today's event, folks. Happy Halloween. Now, get out there and be scared.